Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Mind Matters, where we talk about mental health for teenagers. I'm honored to have Moise Sir over here as my guest today. Moise Sir, would you like to introduce yourself briefly?
Yes, definitely. Good evening. How are you?
Um,
Great. So my name is Moise Devji, and I'm currently the chairman of the Erkan Health Board for DRC. This is my second term because we have up to two terms, and all combined, I've done 6 years as chair of the health board.
Right. Thank you so much. So, jumping right back to the question, as we know, mental health is very important, especially to teenagers these days, especially. So, what do you think are the main challenges for teenagers and why?
So first of all, let's look at what is mental health, right? In the olden days, when I was growing up, I was a teenager also at the time. For us, mental health was somebody who was cuckoo, was crazy, who was down, he wouldn't know what he's doing, etc. Today, actually, the real definition of mental health is out there in the world, and which is very good because in the olden days, it wasn't there. So in the olden days, it was easier to identify a mental health person according to the definition at that time. But right now, it's different and difficult. So the acceptance of one having a mental health, first of all, is a big issue for
Right.
the whole uh, age groups, not just teenagers, because you have depression, anxiety, which are two very common mental health effects. But then there's also bullying, there's mental torture, uh, then you have your physical abuse, your mental abuse, you have whole spectrum of mental health that's out there, right?
Right.
Social media gives you mental issues. So it's so big and so vast that today's world and today's teenagers might not realize that actually they have a mental health issue.
Right.
And if they do think they have one, there's a stigma attached to it,
Right.
which is the biggest challenge. So if you look at the challenge, first of all, to identify that this is actually a mental health issue. And secondly, if you think it is, you don't want to tell anybody because the stigma attached to it is still costing my days when I was a teenager that you are a cuckoo. So that is the biggest challenge that we
Right,
see.
totally. I did a survey also for like between grade 6 to grade 10 mostly, and that did show, oh no, yes, my mental health is good, but then coming to the following question, no, I do have anxiety first, probably because of school, social media pressure, peer pressure, and stuff. And then I also asked the question if they're really open to it to their family, friends, anyone, or do they journal about it? But no, there's still stigma around for mental health. So I think that is really
So yeah, you concur with that. That's good.
yeah. And so, how is Health Board approaching to these types of issues? Are there any activities, sessions? I did have one session back in STEP classes, with Miss Wafia, Atifa, and them all. Muskan, I think, was there too, Muskan Baino. So, what are other sessions going to happen, or are there any going to happen recently?
Yes, so what we were doing previously, and we have to continue, we got some modules from the Aga Khan Health Board in USA, which you were part of the one that we
Right.
implemented on, and we're going to continue that in a very near future for the teenagers. But there's also more to that, what we are doing and what we have done and what we want to do. What we have done is whenever we have professionals who came from Nairobi, we had a session, parents with children. And that session was for the relationships because there's a generation gap, there's a thinking gap, and parents don't understand children of today. Children will not understand the parents' point of view, and that creates mental issues for both sides.
Right.
And it can affect relationships and it can affect the whole part of their living. So we had a session of that, and we found out ways to make both understand what is the responsibility of each to the other. So that was one. Recently, in the last year, in the month of September, we had specialists come from Nairobi again, from BMI, Brain and Mind Institution. And at that time, we held a session again with parents and students on social media, how to use it, what are the effects of it. And it went very well because it was not just one sided, it was two sided. Because there are some children who are addicted to it,
Right.
and it does create that issues mentally. The idea of the reels and keep
Yes.
focuses go away, and parents want to find a solution. Even the children sometimes they want to find a solution. How do you find a balance? Because in today's world, just to say no phones, no social media, it's a tough one because it's also partly educational.
Okay.
So how do you balance it? So we had a session on that. In the future, we are going to have more sessions catered to the students and to the teenagers. You have the social media we just spoke about. You also we want to work on social habits which can affect the mental health. The key another one is bullying, uh, also grooming, because
Right.
although we are in Africa, in Congo, it cannot happen. It's rare that would happen here, but through social media, you can get groomed from people outside, and it can create big issues. So there's a lot of things we want to work on, and inshallah, we will be able to do it in my mandate, which ends in another 2.5 years, I think.
Inshallah.
So this is what we are actually planning to do.
Inshallah. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate that you talked to me and
Thank
that you have taken this very seriously, and you also want to help
Yes.
the teenagers to understand and to find solutions for mental health. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode.